Hello, this is topic 4.8, problem solving. We're going to solve application problems for adding and subtracting of fractions. When we are looking at the difference between adding and subtraction for the problems that we read, we need to look for keywords, but also understand the key concepts of what makes them different. So when we are adding, it means we're combining values. So when we use words like combined or total or sum or altogether, these words can pinpoint that we're putting things together, therefore we're using addition. Multiplication is the same, except multiplication has an element of the repeated addition. When we're subtracting, we're comparing. So anytime you compare yourself to someone else, really what you're doing is kind of subtraction in your mind. So when we're talking about having more than or less than, looking at time, what happened before, what happened after, we can be subtracting for time. Using words that end in ER, faster, shorter, higher, lower, slower, those words are comparison words. Remaining or what's left, and then the difference. So sum and difference are words that are really important for us to know. Like subtraction, division problems have the same type of concepts, but again, there's an element of repetition in division. The problems that we'll look at today are adding or subtracting. Question number 1 says a recipe calls for 3½ cups of flour. If you only have 1 3/4 cups of flour, how much flour do you have to borrow from your neighbor? So what you're going to do is you're going to say, well, I don't have enough, so I need to subtract to find the difference, what's left over that I need to ask for. So we're going to take 3½ minus the 1 3/4 to see what we need to top up with. When we have these mixed numbers, we need to first change the fractional values to make them into like fractions in order to determine if we need to borrow. The lowest common denominator of 2 and 4 is 4, so we only need to change our first fraction. We're going to multiply that by 2 to raise the terms to make it 3 2/4 minus 1 3/4. Now we can see that 2 minus 3 is not possible, so we're going to need to borrow. So we're going to borrow from the 3, making that a 2 and 4/4. Remember that 4/4 is equal to 1. And then we have to add on the 2/4. So 2 and 4/4 plus 2/4 is going to give us the same thing as 3 and 2/4. So that's going to be 2 and 6/4 minus 1 and 3/4. Now we're in a position where we can subtract whole numbers and subtract our numerators. 2 minus 1 is 1. 6 minus 3 is 3 out of 4. So you need to borrow 1 3/4 cups from your neighbor. Number 2, 3 friends bought 2 large pizzas. One person ate half a pizza, another ate 2/3 of a pizza, and the third person ate 5/6 of a pizza. How much pizza did they eat altogether? So here, because we're looking at combining all of them together, we're going to be adding them. So we're going to take the first person, half, plus the second person, 2/3, plus the third person, 5/6. Because these fractions are unlike fractions, we need to make them to be like fractions in order to add them. So we need to look for that lowest common multiple or lowest common denominator. The lowest common denominator of 2, 3, and 6 is 6. So we only need to change the first 2 fractions. We're going to multiply the first fraction by 3 and the second fraction by 2. And that will give us 3/6 plus 4 out of 6 plus 5/6. And now we can add our numerators. 3 plus 4 is 7, plus 5 is 12. over 6, and we change that improper fraction to a mixed number, but in this case it works out perfectly. So 6 goes into 12 twice. So how much pizza did they eat? Well, they ate 2 whole pizzas. So they ate everything. In the next video, I'll go through some of the select exercise questions for lesson 4.8. And you can try those and watch the video if you would like.